Have you ever been on Twitch?
A couple times.
Yeah?
Yeah, for different things, streams, things.
Yeah.
Yeah.
People watching right now.
All right. Hey, everybody. Hi. It's me. They probably haven't seen me on anything, though.
I don't know how popular you are. But I guess you're doing the right thing. You do the right advertisement. You drink it.
Oh, yeah. I'm ready to label out.
Oh, very, very good. You should be streamer. No? You're more like the guy who makes games for us. So maybe you want to introduce yourself for a second?
Sure, yeah. Hi, I'm Adam Saltzman, and my wife Becca and I have a little studio in Michigan called Finji, and we make games, and then sometimes we also publish games. So folks watching the stream somebody probably played a game called Night in the Woods last year, which is a game that we published, and then a long time ago I made a mobile game called Cannonball, which was one of the early Endless Runner games, and some people have played that. So I've been making games on and off for like 10 years. Yeah.
Sounds good.
I've got 2 kids, which is why I have gray hair now. Graying. There's sparkles.
I don't see any. Yeah, I mean,
there's a little.
The sides,
yeah. It's going. And a couple of dogs. We just have a little house and make games. And
is your studio in your house?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we have this little room behind the living room. So I gotta say, if you are a parent and you have your studio in your home, acoustic foam everywhere, so you can close the door. It's important and good.
Yeah, sounds good. So should we jump into your game?
Yeah, sure. I was trying to figure out if it was going to pick up the controls. It might need like a focus or something.
I don't know. Is it like, where's the... Yeah, maybe we need to click in it? No, the mouse is there, right?
Yeah, I don't think it's picking up the controller. I can play it with a mouse.
Yeah, right.
It's not picky. So I don't want to break anything. I can just do this.
Yeah. Is it working for you? I don't know why.
Mouse is good.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, so this is our game. This is a game that we've been working on for a few years now.
Yeah.
It's called Overland, and it's a turn-based survival game. And
no way.
Yeah. Ooh. So your mission here, as it were, is you're trying to take care of this group of people who are trying to get from the east coast of the United States to the west coast. And to do that, you need a car, you need gas, and you're going to need people who can kind of help you get there.
All right.
And so there's a lot of like randomly generated elements in the game. So like this dude here, who's our new friend here? Odell. Odell is not anybody I've played before or I've seen before in this game. This is just a new character. It says classically trained pianist who's kind of into the apocalypse, apparently. That's fine. That's a normal thing to do.
You can play music, you know.
Yeah. We can kind of see like, he's got a backpack, and that's cool.
All right.
And, there's somebody else over here. So yeah, we're going to try to maybe make friends with this person. Maybe they can help us on our quest as we go.
All right.
That's Mikal, volunteer firefighter.
He's not saying anything? He's just like, yeah, all right, let's go.
Yeah, let's get out of here. Shared goals. Oh, so they have like different little gameplay traits too. So this guy's actually pretty handy.
Yeah.
He's like pretty charming and can also kind of like root around for supplies without spending extra action points, which in this first little practice area is not super important, but as we go, that's going to get to be more and more consequential. So a lot of the inspiration for this game was like, let's try to make a pretty hardcore strategy game, but a little bit like, I don't know if anybody played Cannonball, like it was like, making Cannonball was like, let's make an action game, but it doesn't have really like hard controls, so like more people can have that action game experience. And a lot of the inspiration for this game is taking games that I love, like Final Fantasy Tactics or the XCOM reboot, or like really hardcore strategy games, especially in the turn-based, grid-based kind of space, but like, you know, can we make them be like something that people who like board games would be able to get into or something like that? You don't have to worry about like learning a ton of things about plasma rifles or whatever. So it could have a real world setting. You can see the whole level on one screen all the time, and but not lose all those good life or death decisions. Like I want all those. I don't want to make an easy game.
Yeah.
You know, I want to make a game where people can get to the good parts faster and like have those great XCOM Final Fantasy moments where you're like, oh, that guy died. That guy died. That's actually bad. Like that actually has consequences for my group.
Yeah.
That actually like means something for all these strategies that I'm trying to do, or all these missions that I was supposed to go on. So I wanted to keep that stuff, but just like kind of rearrange all the other elements to support that. And it turns out that's really hard to do, which is why we've been working on it for like 3 or 4 years. But it's turning out pretty much to do all the things that I hoped.
So from a scale from Mario Rabbids to XCOM 2, how hard is the game?
How hard?
Yeah.
I mean, my background in playing strategy games is if I'm playing XCOM Reboot, I'm playing it on like Iron Man Classic mode. Like I want the game to reboot. If I mess up, I want the whole mission to be over, and I want to start the game over. And I think we have some ideas for things, because like I know that not everybody's into that, and not everybody wants to play every strategy game that way, but I want the main thing. I want to try to get people to that point. I want people to feel the things that you feel when you play a game that way, like those good like Dark Souls feelings or whatever, where you're like, oh, this is actually like there's consequences for this. Something's going to change. Something's going to happen if I make these decisions. And I love that mindset. So that's like the first intro practice test level area kind of, and this is like the map for this region. So we're in the East Coast, which is just that little starter area of the U.S. over there, and we've got a couple of different places we can go. We've got a bunch of fuel. That's good. We can try to get a different car, which might be a different kind of car. It might be the same car, but with some upgrades, or we might be able to steal the upgrades and attach them to this car.
There are upgrades for the car?
Oh, yeah. Here, let's go here. We should do this. They'll come in handy.
Check it out.
Like, one of the things about the game is there's very limited inventory space, so...
I hate it.
Right?
I hate games.
Most people get really mad about that right away, but the thing that I wanted is like for it to matter. Like you can't go around the level and just collect all the items and leave. Like you come in the level and it has to be like, well, which one do you want and why? Because they're going to change the way that you play. Do you want to play with a bunch of weapons? Do you want to play with a bunch of shields and med kits? I want that to be like a decision that really counts. Okay, so this car has a rack on it, which will come in handy.
Oh, so there's more inventory space, right?
Yeah, so, and it won't be for our characters, but it means that...
What are these things?
Oh yeah, these are our little buddies. They come from below.
Yeah.
And they don't want us to be here anymore, and they're everywhere all the time. And you can't get rid of them or defeat them. There's no Bruce Willis comes to save the day or anything.
No?
Nope. They're just here, and if you try to get rid of them, like, I'm gonna get rid of this guy. He's getting threatening.
Uh-oh. They're getting angry, right?
Yeah, so something heard that and is headed our way now. We should grab this gas, though.
I guess that was a bad decision.
It can be. There's like trade-offs for a lot of things in this game. Like a lot of things that normally it's like, oh, it's a good decision to rescue that person. Well, in this game, if your car only has 3 spots and you rescue a 4th person, there's no place for them to sit. And if you abandon them in a situation that is not amenable to them surviving, they're usually pretty upset about it, and they might come find you later.
No way.
Oh, wait. Oh, okay. It's going to be night next, so we definitely want to keep this. We don't need that stick. Let's take the gas. Yeah. That's a better setup.
Do we need a flare for the night?
It's a pretty good idea. In this is like the starter easier area of the game, so it's maybe not going to be quite as life or death, but normally you want to have bring like a stick with you that you can light on fire, so you have a torch, so you have some visibility.
Yeah.
Otherwise, it's really heavy fog of war. There's no undos, which we'll see in just a moment. Oh, no, that's not what I wanted to do. There we go.
Oh, is that like the undo thing?
Yeah.
Everyone has that?
Yeah, but not for all actions. So if it's like a very consequential, usually like killing stuff, random events happening, we're not going to let you undo those. But
Oh, I see.
you know, I think it's good. Like part of the fun of a game like this for me is like the learning how everything works in it, and so we try to make it so at least like a chunk of the actions in the game, you know, you can do experiments with them and see what happens. And your whole game, like when the earliest versions of this, I was like, no, every decision, life or death, that's how you make a good game.
Yeah.
And like that's sort of true. Like it makes a pretty interesting game that's pretty fun to play, but it's also like really hard to learn stuff because like every time you do a little experiment, you die. And that can be like really discouraging for a huge group of your players. So we try to make it so like,
Oh.
that guy got attacked, but he's okay because he's got this shield.
Yeah.
But the shield took damage.
Yeah.
So there's consequences for that action, but that character isn't dead. He gets to continue like doing this little story with us. So, but I think we got what we needed. We got this roof rack for this car, and we could siphon more gas out of this car.
Yeah.
But we're doing pretty good. We have 16 gallons. We should be all right. There we go.
So is there any story behind it?
Mm-hmm. This stuff is so good. There's a bunch of we have a bunch of lore that we use internally to kind of guide us on like, okay, why are these places like this, and why do they go in this order, and where are these things from, and what's the logic connecting them? Because I think it's really easy to like sense that as a player. Like you can sense that like, oh, there's a bunch of random stuff that they threw together, and I don't have to worry about that part.
Yeah.
Versus like, oh, there's like something to like these things feel connected somehow. And I just like that feeling. I like that feeling of things being connected. Let's go rescue somebody.
What I really like is we can't go back, right, and take the other path. That's
Yeah, it's always going to be
really
a
good.
choice here. So it's like, do you want to go get a bunch of like, do you want to try to find more, more flares for surviving at night, more med kits for helping people who've been injured, or do you want to go out and make your group a little bit bigger?
Yeah.
And this is kind of the test zone, so you can only really see a couple of. This is like the training zone in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
So you can only see a couple of options there. Oh yeah. So this is a night level. These are definitely super safe and not totally scary. Yeah. So this is what you can use a flare for, which is pretty handy. And then we're gonna have this guy join our group. Hey, buddy. Welcome to the club, Floyd.
Hello, Mr. Floyd.
So the other option, the other thing that we can do is, let's do it on this one. Floyd has a stick, so there's a handful of things that you can kind of, it's not really crafting, but you can interact with, especially fire in a bunch of different ways.
Yeah.
To kind of like help you get to your places. So we got Floyd, which is like mostly what we needed to get from this area, actually. He was pretty easy to find, so we should probably get out of here because this is bad nighttime zone here.
Yeah. And the bugs are coming.
Yeah, let's get in there and let's get this guy out of here. You cannot take stuff that's on fire into your car, though. That's our only.
I mean, it's pretty clever, right?
I think it seems
Why
like a
would you?
reasonable. I wanted to feel like design for this game's been really weird too, because like a lot of strategy games, like one of the reasons I think that a super fun kind of like Final Fantasy game or an XCOM game has a fantasy setting or a science fiction setting is for the game design, you have this like a huge amount of flexibility. It can be like, oh, it'd be really cool if there was something that had +1 of this and -1 of this. And so you call it the, oh, this is the plasma upgrade rifle, and it has those stats, and that's like the whole system. But if you're trying to make like a visual story kind of board gaming thing out of it, that mostly is composed of stuff that normal people would recognize, you start to realize like, oh, well, we were doing that because it has lots and lots of benefits, but also it has these like huge costs because we can't do that anymore. Like, there's lots of things where it's like, oh, it'd be cool if you could do one of those. It was like this, but it was +1, and it let you skip a move or something. But like, it needs to be anchored to a real world object somehow. And it's made the design like really interesting and surprising and tricky and weird.
So, are you doing everything for this game by yourself? Like,
no, not even remotely. I mean, I have worked as a programmer on the game and as a designer on the game for, and kind of a bad producer for a while. And I've been on the project since kind of it was quote unquote my idea originally. I should just be heavily qualified, period. But we now have our art director is responsible for everything visual you can see here. Heather Penn, who's been on the project for years now and is just totally amazing. All the audio is by a woman from Austin named Jocelyn Race, who's just completely incredible. We have like a full-time community manager at our little studio now who helps us with all our video content stuff. And a bunch of other things. QA, he was QAing this build for me because I was on an airplane and was just like, I think it's going to work fine for this stream that we're going to be on, but can you check it out? And my wife Becca, who runs a company with us and is in charge of all of our biz dev and blah, blah, blah. So it's a pretty big stack of people at this point. This is probably like 5 or 6 people to try to get this game put together somehow.
Nice. So when do you think it's coming out? Do you have a plan?
We have a plan. We can't talk about it yet. The easiest version is it's not coming out this year.
Right.
For sure. We've got a bunch of other cool stuff that we want to get into it, and it's going to take a little while to do that. Let's go around the back here, maybe. This guy's getting too close. Oh, I can't do that to him. Because he's in front of the pole. Shoot. All right. Yeah, Odell's not in a great spot here. Let's get him out of the way.
Can the bugs destroy the car?
Yes, they generally won't, but if the car's turned on, then they'll just come chew it to pieces. And if you get really clever and you're like, oh, I'll use the car as part of a blockade to stop the monsters from getting through, they'll get through.
Oh, I see.
They'll have a little snack. And the little ones, you can kind of give them a squish.
Oh. That's a nice gimmick.
And then I'm just trying to get this guy to get this fuel over here.
There's fuel?
Yeah, the gas pump, you can actually like siphon some fuel out of it.
Oh, nice.
Let's see. Let's just back over the body again.
Just to be sure if he's dead.
Yeah, I just want to double check. Yeah, so this is like the little kind of a little gentle introductory area where, again, like the same kind of philosophy. Like we want this game to have a lot of consequences, but it's very, very early part of the game. This is tricky.
Yeah, you should go around, right?
Maybe. Yeah. This actually might work. Hang on. Yeah.
Maybe go the long way.
I think this will be okay.
Yeah. Nice.
Okay. Woo. Yeah. Wanted this like first area of the game to have like significant consequences if you really make mistakes, but most of this starter bit of Overland, you can make a lot of mistakes and your adventure will continue as long as you don't run out of gas.
Yeah.
That's the only thing that we really strongly push players to figure out in this starter spot is like keep the car fueled up, please. And that's all. That's really all we need you to do. Everything else after that, like, go ahead, experiment, like try things out. It doesn't matter that you're not min-maxing every single action point on every single move, and that you're not like abusing inventory trading to do X, Y, or Z. We can like, this guy's out of action points, but we can kind of still like pull him into the car using one of the other characters' action points. That'll let us escape like a turn early.
So
But the later game is where the pressure starts to come on in terms of like, listen, you have 3 people. That's 6 action points per turn, and these need to be allocated very, very carefully, or else you're just going to get ground down before you can kind of get to the roadblock at the end here.
Yeah.
Which should we get? Let's just do it. Oh, we don't have a lot of weapons, though.
No, we have nothing.
Yeah. So this is kind of like one of the other big trade-offs as you go is you need fuel to drive down the road, and you also need fuel to get out here. Like, this is pretty close. This only costs 3 gas, but it's going to cost us like 6 gas to get out here. But out here is where you get the weapons that you use to keep yourself safe while you're gathering fuel.
Yeah.
And so, like, balancing that and figuring out how you want to set that up. There's also, this area doesn't have it, but there's normally a longer, extra long route where you can get really significant upgrades. But you have to really aggressively scavenge fuel and keep everything loaded up in order to be able to afford those.
We still have fuel.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, we're doing good.
No, we have fuel in the trunk, right? Yeah. Yeah, we should have fuel in the trunk. You didn't fill it. Yeah, look.
Oh, Michael. Yeah. This guy's got gas here. That's perfect.
Yeah, that's great.
I forgot he scavenged that. Yeah.
So what's going to happen if the car broke?
So it used to be that you would just get game overs.
Yeah.
And we were like, oh, that solves that. But it's like, it turns out it's super unsatisfying. Like, as a conclusion, it's the right pressure. It should be like, oh, you ran out of gas. That's very bad. Game overs are very bad, so it matches up. But it just feels weird. Like, it feels very abrupt. It's like, oh, I was having an adventure, because it turns out like the really fun way to get a game over in this game is things go like very wrong. Like, there's like 25 monsters on the screen and a bunch of stuff is on fire, and like that's the satisfying end state that you want to get into. So what we figured out that so far feels really cool is if you run out of gas, you can't make it to a good, safe place to scavenge like this. You kind of have to pull off on the side of the road at the first time you spot a little bit of spare gasoline or whatever. And it's these are bad places that you don't want to be. But what that kind of means is, like, your adventure might not be over. If you're very, very good and pretty lucky, you might be able to get a couple of pieces, get it put together, get the car fueled back up, get back on the road, and actually move on and do the thing and not have a game over from that one time you ran out of fuel. But it's challenging.
So basically, the car can't break. They can break it, and then it's over.
Well, you kind of have the same thing. If the car breaks, then you have to actually walk down the road off to someplace terrible and try to get back in a car. You won't be able to make it to a real next destination until you have a car again.
Oh, that's pretty good. So I was thinking right now, if my car is broken, I can't go any further. But that's a really good thing that you can go by your feet.
Yeah,
nice.
And just like, and mostly what it does is it says, like, the general formula for this stuff is like, oh, you ran out of gas? That's okay. Here's some more gas and 10 monsters. Or, oh, your car broke. That's too bad. No problem. Here's a fresh car. But it's made out of garbage, and also there's 10 monsters again.
Yeah.
So, like, yeah, we don't want to, like completely cut people off. Because it turns out, like, in a lot of these games, what's really fun isn't necessarily, like, that it's not the mathematical difficulty that actually makes it fun. Like, the thing that makes it fun is the difficulty keeps putting you in these situations where you have close calls. And you have to, like, use your wits to figure out some kind of last-minute solution. Like, oh, what if I move this guy to here and this guy to here? And so we've been trying to, have some mathematical difficulty because that's where you get that stuff from, but also just trying to figure out from a design standpoint or a level design standpoint even, like, oh, let's just, like, close calls are fun. Here's a part of the game that's not satisfying. Let's turn that into close calls instead, because it just feels better. All right, I think we got what we needed here. We found a weapon.
Off to the roadblock.
Yeah.
Let's see.
This should be just fine. Definitely nothing will go horribly wrong here.
I mean, you are playing. It's not me.
It's true. It's usually more fun if, like, somebody who hasn't been playing it for like 4 years is playing it, because everything would be on fire long before this.
I mean, I play a lot of strategy games.
What do we do here? Oh, geez. Okay, so we don't have bosses. There's not boss battles exactly, but we have instead our roadblocks.
Yeah.
So all these levels we've been to, if we got to that level where like, oh, too many monsters, I don't want to be here, you can just get back in your car and leave. You spent some gas, but you didn't get the resources, so there's a little trade-off there, but you don't have to like beat the level in order to proceed to the next level. But in roadblocks, you do. So we have a situation here where the road is all blocked off by this crap. We have to try to figure out how to clear it, and like there's things all over the place. And also, if you notice, like this was right on the main road. This wasn't out on a detour. Every time we make noise here, there's going to be more than normal things attracted by that.
Yeah.
So the rate at which things get much worse in the level is faster in these roadblock encounters. So we're kind of a little bit on a kind of a turn-based clock to try to figure out how do we get the road clear here and move on to the next area.
Yeah.
And I don't 100% know how to do it. All right, let's get this guy out.
I mean, you just played it 4 years, right?
Yeah. Yeah, it should be fine. Let's get everybody out of the car. I don't need this flare. We can put that in the car for now. The shield is going to come in handy. The shield's going to come in really handy, I think. And this guy's a stick, which we can put to some use.
Oh, the right side.
Yeah.
There's
the thing is, I want to get down here, so like let's get this guy out of the way. What can this guy do that's useful? Let's get this guy over here out of the way. This guy, I'm gonna take the pipe from this dude. So I've got the backpack on this guy, so he can hold 2 items instead of 1 item.
Yeah.
And that means I should be able to get him over here.
Oh.
All right. This guy can grab this, and we'll use that to get this guy out of the way. But the spacing here is all weird. Oh, this guy's the shield, though, so this might work still. Okay. I think I can do this attack. I'm out of action points here.
Yeah.
Oh, this guy's in danger now, though. All right. Okay, we have 1 left. Good.
Oh, so the big ones take 2. Nice.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. So he blocked that. That's good. But he's still in the way. Ooh. All right, I'm going to do shove instead of attack because that means he won't die yet, which means he can't make a big racket yet.
Yeah.
And hopefully we can get this thing. I'm trying to like drag this body out of the road.
Oh, shit.
Okay.
He got you.
And my shield just broke.
Oh, my God.
And all our new friends just showed up. It's going to be fine. It's going to be all right. All right.
As you say.
Let's see. All right, maybe we can pull it a different way. Here's what we can do. Yes. Yeah. Okay. New plan. Old plan has problems. We're going to come up with a new plan. New plan. Get this guy in the car. Oh, there's fuel down here that we need. Like, this is the other thing, too. You get here, and you're like, oh, cool, we made it. Yay. All we have to do is get through this level. But there's a whole nother extra large. There's the next place you go is twice as large and difficult as this level is. So we need to get out of here in one piece. But if we can grab that fuel on the way, that would be better.
Don't we have just, like, another fuel tank in the trunk?
I already filled it up.
Oh, you did?
I filled it up already. And that's what we used to get here.
Yeah.
We still have 11, so we could probably make it to the next zone on the other side. But it's like every little shortcut, like every step of preparation you skip, eventually comes back to erode your party later.
Yeah.
So here's what I'm going to do. I'm going to drag this thing back out of the way this way instead. And that should make a path that the vehicle can get through, I think.
It looks like.
Yeah. So give me Mikkel. You get in there. And okay. But I want to get that gas. Okay. This is fine. This is definitely going to work. We're going to grab this guy on the way.
Yeah.
And then I'm going to switch to Mikkel and go get this gas.
Can you?
Totally. Definitely going to work.
Ooh, that's going to be close.
It's going to be good. I'm feeling very
Confident?
pretty confident about this.
Yeah.
All right, we're going to leave the car running. I'll grab this.
Can you go in? Oh.
Wait. I can do this. All right, wait. We'll fill up, switch back. This guy can pull him in.
Yeah.
And then...
No. Can you leave?
Let's put it back in drive mode. Yeah.
Oh, nice. Yes.
Oh, okay. Totally fine.
That was easy.
Yeah. So that's the demo that we're running here,
Yeah.
at least. And then whenever if you get game over, either by kind of like, for now, sneaking through the demo, or usually a more grisly fire-based demise, you get to see this like little view of like, how far did you actually make it? And like, we collected 20 fuel. That's not bad. We found some survivors. We did not get any dogs in our group. That was a mistake.
You can get dogs.
Oh, yeah.
So
I forgot that
what
part.
are dogs doing?
Dogs they're like a good member of your party.
Yeah.
So they have inventory. They can carry stuff in their mouth. They don't have thumbs, so they can't drive cars. And there's a lot of items that they can't use, but they have some abilities that the human characters don't get. So like sometimes you can find dogs that have like a night vision ability, so that you don't have to have torches at every single night level, or some of them can just kind of like bite monsters. Crucially, I think these are probably the two most important things you can do with a dog. You can pet it. It costs 1 action point, and nothing happens. You just feel really good because you pet the dog and he wags his tail. And some dogs, some dogs don't want to be petted, but some dogs also have a bark action that they can do, and that costs an action point, and also does nothing except they feel really good because they got to do some barking. And they're great. The dogs are fun. Here's what I like about dogs in this game, at least, is they have they're worse than the people in your group. They're mathematically inferior to the humans in your group, and 99% of the people who play this game will never abandon a dog. They will leave behind the most useful person in their group if it means that there's like an open seat in the car for the dog.
Yeah.
Which for me as a game designer feels like a cool, like, that's something that was like one of our design goals, was like to get people a little bit out of the really, really like militant or kind of like calculating mind space of a lot of strategy games, where it's like, well, who has the highest numbers? That's who I like the most. And like, because we're people playing the game, we're like these weird meat machines, and we're playing this video game, and wouldn't it be cool if some of these decisions, even though we knew that there were strategic downsides to this, like emotionally, it was really important to me to save this person that I like, or this dog that I like. And I really like that piece of it. I'm fond of that piece of it.
So how often did you abandon like someone of a group for a dog? How often did you abandon like someone from your group for a dog?
Oh yeah, people do this all the time. There was a bug.
Did you do it?
I've done it before. Totally, yeah. There was a bug in the game. So for a while, for like 6 months, there was a bug in the game where if you abandoned a dog and you drove on to the next level, the dog would be in the level because of like a graphical, like a memory glitch or something, but he would be like 1,000 times the size that he was supposed to be, which was really funny. But no one knew about this bug for months because no one abandoned a dog. Like months of gameplay, no reports, no funny posts on Twitter. Nobody was sending me emails because literally nobody abandoned a dog, so there was no way to find the bug.
Wow.
So you had to abandon a dog for it to happen. And finally somebody sent me this email. They're like, is it supposed to do this? And I was like, no, that doesn't look right to me. Something looks slightly off there. But yeah, it's because they were the first person who abandoned, to my knowledge, who found a dog in Overland and did not take it with them. And it took months.
I'm going to do it.
I would like to see if you're capable of it. I think most people struggle. It's hard.
It's just pixels, you know.
This happened. We had a stream a few months back. Somebody had really gotten in a bind. Their car was trapped. It was the kind of the zone of the game after this. That next big chunk is the woodlands, and it's like a lot of forests and more dangerous creatures that can kind of move 2 steps per turn, and they close distance really fast, and it can be unpredictable, especially if you haven't seen them around before. And they're just having this really intense run, and their car gets kind of trapped on the backside of the level, and they've got like a classic like trolley car scenarios, car full of people, and they can get them to safety, but to do it, they have to run over the dog that's in their group. And they were like, it's pixels, who cares? And they're about to do it, and the stream chat is going nuts.
Yeah.
They're just like, no, you can't do it. I will stop watching. I will leave this. I will unsubscribe from your channel if you run that dog over. Do not do it. And he's like, but yeah, the car's going to explode if, like, with the game, I'm going to get game over if I don't run over this dog. And they're like, we don't care. You will not run over the dog. And he's just like, it's a digital dog. It's fine. And chat's like, it's a digital car. What's the problem? So
yeah, all right.
Yeah, all that space, like all that little funny, cozy design space of like people being like really excited to like make bad strategy decisions because like it's personal to them or it's like more, it tells their story more or something. Just like love all that space and try like more as time goes on. Like this game started with this like really like, oh, you moved up instead of left, game over. Sorry. Oh, you moved left instead of up this time, game over. Like slowly stepping from that to like, okay, let's keep a lot of that basic idea and make it a little weirder and make it a little more expressive and like make it a little bit more about these just like constant close calls and wanting like that board gaming. It's like the other, like visually there's some board game inspiration here, obviously, but the other thing that's the other big board game inspiration is that like feeling of sitting around playing a board game with other people. Like our favorite, usually if we're running Overland at a booth, we deliberately set up like 2 chairs. We want people to sit there and play it together so that they can argue about like, oh no, rescue that guy, or don't go do that, or we should get those resources next, and like that just very human process of talking about what to do next and why is it important, or why do you want to do it. Like I want the game to have space for that and have that be built into the game, even though it's a single player game.
Yeah. Are you going to implement that people can rename their characters? So character creator and naming their character and stuff, especially from like coming out of having like some obvious XCOM similarities, and I know people love that, like, oh, I made a whole XCOM group and they're all my friends, and one of my friends died last night and it was really dramatic. And I don't know. I think I always lean toward not wanting to do it. Because like where I get that, I understand why people feel that way about their characters like that. There's this other version of it of like feeling like you met these random dudes on your trip. Yeah. You know, like you're like, oh yeah, I met this guy Floyd. And I didn't create him, and I didn't make him up, and I didn't give him his hairstyle, and I didn't name him, and he's this guy Floyd. And maybe like a thing we've seen people do, which is really weird to me. It makes sense, but like we don't have a lot of them in here, but we have these things called story badges, which is kind of like this guy has one called Starting Party. So this doesn't confer any gameplay bonus. This just Starting Party is just like, oh, he was part of your group from the very beginning. Yeah. And then you can see that when you get game over, like, oh wow, that guy, he was part of our group at the very beginning and he didn't make it very long, and that can be like part of his little story or whatever. We have like some of those are like, oh, you killed somebody. That was messed up. You shouldn't have done that. And so you'll get a little story badge that just says like murderer. And like there's all kinds of off-screen shenanigans going on here. I know this guy. You do?
Yeah.
Who is that?
This guy, I don't know, he's in charge of the whole Indie Arena booth or something like that. Yeah.
Oh, I see.
Because you can basically, maybe in a pinch, you decide to kill somebody, and you get this murderer badge. And the thing that I have loved about that is people then get to the next level, and there's somebody trapped, and they rescue them, and they're like, you should join our group. Oh, there's not enough room in the car. Who are we going to leave behind? They're like, I'm going to leave behind that murderer. That guy's messed up. Let's not take him with us. I don't like that guy. Yeah. They decided... It was like the player decided to have him become a murderer and to like assume this role, you know, like there's this like stack of stuff in that I just love very much. Welcome.
Hi. Hello.
Hello.
Hi, who are you?
Hi, I'm diZee.
I'm sorry, I'm crushing here. Hi, Adam.
Hello.
Adam, I want to ask you, how is it for you the first day?
Oh, it's been great. This is super chill. Everybody says Gamescom is super busy and overwhelming, and I'm just finding it totally pleasant and fine.
That's
I'm
cool.
not going to be here on Saturday, incidentally. I'll be leaving before Saturday.
But we have really the advantage here at Indie Arena booth that we do really tiny things, like our light is not like bright white
Yeah.
crashing everybody.
No, it's really nice, and the sound level is like super reasonable right now
Yeah.
too.
Yeah.
There's a lot of shows where like my ears are ringing before lunch.
Yeah.
Just from the layout of
Yeah.
the floor.
Yeah, we tried this time also to convince the others. We are the biggest booth in this hall, so we have some leverage
wow,
now.
Yeah.
That's good.
Yeah.
So we need more indies, especially from the US, by the way. I'm so happy. I'm really
You're
big.
surprised
I have
we're only-
to, sorry, Nielsen, I jumped in
It's
here
all right, it's all
because I'm a really big fan of him.
Are you?
Yeah, he's a superstar in the US.
Is he?
You are.
I don't know. I don't know about that. There were only 2 U.S. games here. I was really surprised. That's very different. Like in a normal U.S. show, it's like 98% of the games are from
But
the
it's the
U.S.
same here.
And we pretend that that's like the whole game industry.
Yeah.
And there's like us and Neocab, and we're like the 2 U.S. games kind of like hanging out, and it's pretty nice for change.
I think the difference is the same for us when we come to PAX or something like that. So
Yeah,
when
exactly.
I mean when I went to PAX last year to 3 times, 4 times, I don't know, I don't remember, and we were one of the rare German ones there. Because the issue is, and that's the reason why we do it like we do it here. The issue always is, if you go to a foreign country to set up a nice booth, is either very expensive or it looks shitty.
Yep. Or both. You can do both. You can spend tons of money and have a booth that looks terrible.
Yeah.
It's easy.
I mean, that's why we started this. So that's the reason why we built it by ourselves and not by booth builders, to have some. I mean, we know that it's so convenient to go with a USB stick with your game and plug it in and then it's working.
Especially for small teams, like even within the U.S., like getting from I live in the Eastern time zone in the U.S., and if we're trying to get to a show and set up a show in California, it's complicated. Like if we're trying to go to an East Coast show, like we can actually load up a van and drive our whole setup there and set it up, and it's a lot of work and it's a lot of effort, but it's not that crazy. But trying to get to California and set up a whole booth and have it look just the way you want, is that Becca, my partner at Finji, is in charge of, and she's really good at it. It's so hard. It's like every show is like full week of prep to get everything together, and we do our booth. The only way we can even get away with it is just like we have our booth runs in a very specific way, and we use very specific things, and it looks a lot nicer than it secretly is, and all of these little
that's cool.
things stack up. And so, yeah, every show that we get to go to where they're like, oh, we printed everything already. I was like, tell me more. And they're like, yeah, and the computer's already here. I was like, go on. We'll be there.
You can be our ambassador. We want to have more people here, because what I also like in this atmosphere is that this mingling between different...
Why is everyone coming here and waves? Like,
I don't know.
You must be really
they
famous.
should have introduced you to the people running this whole
You must be really famous.
Yeah,
Everybody
you know
coming
who
by
is
here.
the guy who was waving there is Wolf. He's actually the CEO of Super Crowd, who is managing this. And Wolf was kind of your apprentice. I don't know, when he came to the GDC
I think
or
that we
something.
do, like, especially at GDC, like a lot of we do a big block of meetings during the week with people who just want to kind of talk shop, and we're not making business deals or anything. We're just trying to talk about, like, boy, making games is really complicated, isn't it? And oh, you're a parent too. Wow, making games and being a dad, that's crazy. And trying to figure out how to navigate all this stuff. And
How old are your kids?
5 and 7.
Okay. Mine just begin to move out. So my son already moved out, and my daughter
Power
became-
move. I'm gonna make mine do that next year.
That's good.
Yeah, I figure you're by the time they get out of elementary school, I'm washing my hands of the whole thing.
Peace out.
I'm done with it. Yeah.
Okay, sorry I jumped in here.
Yeah, no worries. I had
We have to
only-
talk later, because I really think, I mean, you have the same kind of motivation like what we have here. And
Yeah.
I'm super happy to have. He made one of the games I really loved, which is Cannabalt. I don't know if you ever heard of
Yeah,
that.
he already told
Oh,
us.
okay. Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no
Hello,
worries.
chat.
That was on the first part of the stream. Where were you?
I actually did the political tour with the minister,
Yes.
the digital minister, and
Oh,
I completely blew up the time. Completely. I had 8 minutes. I think I took 16.
All right.
Oh.
So they were not very...
If it was anything game development that doesn't go over budget and over deadlines, like, isn't really game development related
I don't know.
anyway.
I mean, we thought they're coming with something like 50 people, but they were around 100. So
Wow.
we moved them around on the booth, so they had really the hands-on experience of indie developers. But
so
I think
they were here?
Yeah, they were here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's the reason why.
Yeah.
We didn't.
I chose to come on this show instead of meeting the Germany's digital minister of digital
Yes,
things.
Staatsminister für Digitalisierung. Say that.
A very good German word.
I eventually will be able to, maybe.
The guy.
I'm really worried of what I would say if I tried.
The guy was here. The important guy was here.
Actually, it's a she.
Yes.
It's a she.
Oh, she was here. The important woman was here, so that's the US version of it. So basically, I have one question. Are you going to connect your game with Twitch? Because that's why.
Well, we
because
have
of
a
the
bunch of
renaming.
stuff. So if people are getting it from, like, you can go get the first access version off of our website right now.
Yeah.
And it's got a couple of layers. It's got 2 or 3 layers of Twitch integration that we haven't seen other games do that I think are like pretty fun. They're not done through the official Twitch layers yet. We just kind of like roll our own through the IRC whatever thing. But they've got a couple options. Like, you don't even have to authenticate. You can just like put in your.
I have to go. My wife is waiting outside for me.
Is she?
Go!
Andy, you should like brush your teeth a little bit. You talked a lot today. All right.
There's a couple things that we do. Like, you don't even have to authenticate. You just put in your Twitch streamer name in the options menu, and then that enables you to do a few things. And you can enable or disable them however you want. One thing you can do is all the people in your group will be named after people from chat, which is kind of fun.
Yes, please.
I like that version. This is like the thing of like people wanting to name the party after their friends or whatever, and we've been trying to interact with that in ways that we like. So one way that I like is like, oh yeah, pull in people from chat, and now they're in your group.
Oh, that's great.
And then we did that, and we were like, well, they already have names of the people from chat. What if then anything that person typed in chat came up in the game as a little speech bubble? That would be kind of cool. So we did that.
Yeah.
And then I have a really basic thing, like when you get to the map screen, you can vote on, so everybody can kind of like type in the number. It'll show a little number. Only when the Twitch stuff is enabled, it'll show a little number next to each place on the map, which in this zone, it doesn't matter as much, but in the later zones, you might have 5 or 6 stops to pick from, right? And so if people really want you to go rescue that dude or go get those supplies, you can kind of see those tally up, and it'll keep track of which has the most votes. You don't have to do what they say, but there's a little bit of relationship management stuff that you do there. All that stuff is in First Access and on our website right now, and I think they're pretty fun. We have other ideas for stuff like that we want to do later too. But
I really love it. And now.
That's where that digital digital dogfight, that was happening with people from chat who are characters in the game.
Yeah.
So that was like a little character in game with a speech bubble coming up saying, it's a digital car.
No!
And there's something, we want to try to figure out a thing where we can because you see your group down at the bottom of the screen, but that's usually how, if streamers are using a webcam, that's usually where they would be.
Yeah.
So we're trying to figure out a way to could we get the streamers green screen into the thing? But the chat participation stuff is the stuff that I've been enjoying, just because I like the little bit of kind of back and forth.
That's pretty good. And now, think about a dog named after a user out of your chat.
Yes, but
you can't kill him.
Should I spoil it? I don't want to spoil what happens if you use chat when you're a dog in the game. I want people to find that, but I'm really proud of it.
I'm excited. When can I play it?
Overland-game.com.
All right.
And you can get in on the first access, which is it's like $20 or something like that. You'll get a Steam key when the game does come out on Steam, regardless of what price the game ends up being.
Yeah.
And the usually we put out patches pretty rapidly. Usually it's 3 or 4 patches a week would be a normal. That's what we did for most of development.
Yeah.
We've been keeping it under wraps. This build is the first time we've ever shown this publicly, but this is the completely rewritten version of the game. Where it's running on a whole new code base that's a lot more performant, and a lot of the things I was doing, like clicking on a dumpster from 2 spaces away, are things that you actually can't do on the itch.io version. But we're going to have this version up on itch.io and First Access starting in hopefully a few weeks, and people will be able to play that, and that'll have, but the version that's on there now, even if it doesn't have all the nice new controls, has all the Twitch stuff already. So
So in a few weeks, I can download, buy it, download it, and play it with my chat.
Right now, literally right now, you can go do that.
Okay,
It's not going to be
week.
this build. It's going to be the older build that just doesn't have some of the mouse interactions aren't quite as nice.
Oh.
Otherwise, it's all up there. So we're trying to get this. We're trying to get the Twitch stuff back into this, and then we can put that up on itch.io too.
Next
So
week
that'll be
after
yeah.
Gamescom.
Yeah.
Next
Cool.
week after Gamescom.
Cool. Yeah, I think people have been having a lot of fun with it, and I've been really happy to see
Yeah.
I don't know. Anytime you make a game, you have this version of the game in your head, and you're like, "Oh, this game is so fun!" And then you give it to strangers, and they're like, "It's not really my thing." And I'm like, "No, it is your thing. It definitely is." And I'm like, "Why can't they get into it?" Oh, the buttons are dumb. And you remake the buttons. And you just do this loop. And we've been doing this loop for a few years, and it's finally gotten to the point where most of the time, you put a gamepad or a mouse in a total stranger's hands in a strategy game with no tutorials. And they kind of click around and do a couple experiments, and suddenly they actually are playing the game that I have in my head, and it's pretty cool. It's a pretty cool experience.
So why did Andy say you're famous?
I don't think I am. I don't think most gamers know about me or anything. In game design circles, we have been really lucky and have a certain amount of reputation or credibility or whatever as design people. So I help work on the Game Developers Conference in San Francisco and some other things.
Oh, I see.
Do a lot of mentorship work in the community and stuff like that. But a lot of, I think, not to the same degree that a lot of the designers I admire, but a lot of my work has been, some of my work has been pretty influential. Like Cannibal was a game that actually wasn't played by that many people on mobile phones, but it was kind of the game that opened the door for things like Temple Run or Jetpack Joyride or other endless runners that had a huge, huge, huge audience. So I don't know. I'm guessing it comes from that. Actually, I don't know if there's a way to answer the question, why does that guy think you're famous, in a way that just doesn't sound awful.
Yeah.
But
right.
it's things like Cannibal. It's in a museum in New York. It's, I don't know. There's a bunch of weird stuff, but mostly I'm just a dad who has a home office and is trying to get this game to work. Uh-oh, it got mad.
Yeah.
That's okay.
I fall asleep. But I guess
This
people
is the
can't
snow
see it
level.
anyways.
This is the snow
Yeah,
level.
that's...
We didn't talk about that. So, I guess in addition to day and night, there's there are weather cycles in the game.
Oh.
There's snow
Yeah.
and the mountain area, and there's rain and wind, and those have different actual gameplay effects.
Yeah.
There's later zone of the game has a lot of this kind of Far Cry 2 inspired fire propagation stuff that can play into your strategies. Where you start to figure out oh, I can just burn enemies. That's a really easy way of killing them. Yeah, but it has all these ripple effects as you're trying to actually get out of the level in one piece. I don't know. We're just all the systems are built, and all of the basic gameplay and the basic mood and everything. We have a really good handle on all of this stuff. So we're basically from now till launch just adding in. Some of it is old ideas that we've really wanted to do for a really long time, and a lot of it is going to be new ideas that we can finally do because we have this beautifully re-engineered game to work on now. So,
Are you playing by yourself? Are you still playing games?
Not super often. I've been playing Hollow Knight lately and actually
nice.
really enjoying it. Had a really slow start, and I almost gave up, and I was really glad that I didn't. It's gotten really rich and interesting. And probably the best game that I played the most in the last year would have been Celeste, probably.
Celeste.
I played a tremendous amount of Celeste. It's,
Okay.
I like it. It's just it's a just plain good platformer. If you're into a specific kind of platformer, it's unbelievably exemplary. And as a game designer or a level designer, it is a whole other level of really. It's overwhelmingly smartly designed game. It should be, if there's a game design school somewhere and they were hey, let's talk about puzzle design and level design, Celeste would be the game to look at and talk about and study and figure out how it was built and why it was built and stuff like that. It's really marvelous. But I don't play a lot of games. I play I've been playing Hollow Knight for 3 weeks, and I'm 7 hours in.
Whoa,
I just
that's
play
nothing.
little 20, 30 minutes at a time here and there. That's the pace at which I game now.
Okay. But is it because you don't have any time for it, or you just like? Meh.
There's a little bit like there's a thing that happens like when I took a couple of film classes at college a long long time ago, and a thing that they would talk about in there, I keep hitting the mic with my hand, which probably sounds terrible for everyone. I apologize. A thing they tell you in film class, they're like, well, we're going to teach you how movies work, and this is going to ruin movies for you forever. And to some extent that's a little bit true. Like you do start to like anytime you learn about how something works, either by studying it or making it yourself, like you do get a certain amount of like, I don't know, impatience or intolerance for certain things, or you start to think like that's cheap, or I really don't like when games are built that way. But then when you do find a game that is smart, like really, and not, it doesn't even have to be smart. Like I would say like a game like Doom 2016, I consider a very smart game, even though it maybe presents itself as like, yeah, murder him in the like just this like Doom 2016 to me is just like a dude screaming and like aliens exploding in your face like as a nonstop montage for the whole game, and it's so smart. The way it was assembled and why it was assembled and how it was assembled is so smart. And for me, like knowing how games are built makes things like that more joyful. Like that's like there's an extra layer of thrill in playing it where you're like, oh, I'm having a lot of fun punching these demons in the face, but also like, holy crap, they did it. This stuff is so hard to do, and like look at how all these things fit together, and oh, amazing, they swapped they have melee finishers instead of reloading as their basic FPS like a rhythm marker, and that's like tactily subbed in and works in the and that's just like thrilling that's probably not a super cool thing to be like thrilled about, but I'm like legitimately thrilled about these things while I play. So like there's a piece of that where like there's some stuff that I would have played when I was a kid that I just don't enjoy anymore, but there's other stuff that just has like a whole new like layer of enjoying it. But it's mostly like I think it's really hard to make any game, period. I think it's really hard to make a game that stands out so much that if you're a dad and you enjoy being a dad and you have a job that is both very time-consuming but that you really genuinely love to do, and then you have this little tiny bit of free time and you're like, well, I want to watch at least one movie this week sometime. That's like 2.5 hours. I could have done a whole zone of Hollow Knight in that time, but like really wanted to see this movie this week. And to me that feels mostly okay most of the time. There's like every once in a while, like Dead Cells just came out and I'm just like, man, I have like 600 hours of Hollow Knight left. Like when is this Dead Cells thing gonna happen? Like it's just not, it's like I want it to happen. I really want to get in there and pick that thing apart, and I love Motion Twin, but like I don't know how I'm gonna do it. And like every once in a while in those moments, like it's a little bit heartbreaking. But usually I can get my hands on a game for like 2 or 3 hours, and that has to be enough. And I just like try to get as much out of it as I can. And a really good one recently, the Jurassic World game.
Yeah, I played it. Yeah,
phenomenal.
That was pretty good. Yes.
What? It's like way better than the movies. Like
it's pretty good. I mean, I played it 50 hours, and then it got a little bit boring.
Sure, yeah. I played it for like 5.
Yeah,
so,
then it's like kind of exciting.
Which is the second most I've played a game in a long time.
Yeah.
Right? But yeah, it's I love the way, like, even in that game I was like, oh, it's like a zoo simulator. This is a pretty good zoo simulator game. And then I realized, no, this is like a roommate simulator.
Yeah.
Like every one of these dinosaurs is like the pickiest roommate.
Yes.
This one doesn't want to do the dishes. This one always leaves the door open, and they're like fighting with each other all the time. And it's like a game, it's totally a game about like trying to make these things. So these like, and the velociraptors are just like the pickiest, like most detail obsessed dudes that I've ever met.
They always had like a small area.
I give them a little bitty pen, and it's the most fake. I'm just like, they need exactly 3 trees. If they have 4 trees, they get loose and eat everybody. So you can only have 3 trees. You can have a puddle that's this big, but if the puddle it's big enough to drink from, but if it's any bigger, they break out and eat everybody. And just having like a blast playing that. Like I wanted it to be a card game almost. Like that to me felt like it would be the coolest little board game. Is you have all these little like picky dinosaurs, and you're trying to sort them into piles where they won't fight each other. And and it gave them so much personality and is driven totally by mechanics, right? Like this one just has a really high social score. And you're like, oh, I can have like 5 of those and they can all be hanging out together. And that's like the gang of this kind of dinosaur and they're cool, but the Ankylosaurus doesn't want to be around anybody.
Yeah.
He's off by himself. And now suddenly he has this like personality in a way of like being like a loner or something. And those things being like true to the source material in as much as you can for dinosaurs or animals that aren't around anymore, and like true to the fiction that they're trying to present, and like to have all these like emotional things come out of just the raw game mechanics. I don't know, like I feel like I probably don't get to play a lot of games compared to most people anymore, but like it's such a treat to like get to spend time with one now that I don't know.
It's quality time.
Yeah, it is, definitely.
I play every day. 7 to 8 hours.
Yeah. Well, and it's your job now.
Yeah.
Did that mess, like, because I feel like playing games for me still feels like a break in a lot of ways, because like, I don't know, maybe people that don't make games don't know this, because like a lot of time they're like, oh, you make games, you just play games all day, that's so cool. And I'm like, well, I'm mostly staring at a word processor trying to figure out why this word is right and this word is wrong, and that's most of my day. I'm not actually really playing much, but I was wondering, like, if it's actually like your job, you're streaming, like it's your actual day job, like on the weekend then, or you're like, I'm gonna kick back, play some video games.
I don't have weekends.
Oh,
right. I work 7 days a week.
Yeah,
I still love it. I had like a really bad time 1 month ago, I guess. Yeah. And then I was talking to Andy, and he always says, like, even the shittiest shit game has good things. You need to find the good things.
Yes.
And after we were talking about that stuff, I started to love it again.
Yeah.
And there's so many good games out there that you can't even stop enjoy playing games.
Yes.
It's not possible.
Yeah, it's insane. Like, even I got here and, like, so, like, we usually do U.S. shows, and just in the Indie Arena booth, there's probably 50 games here that I've never heard of that look awesome.
Yeah. But
this is my job, is to know about all of these games. Like, this is my day-to-day thing, and then still just show up here. I'm like, there's 50 more. I was at EGX in the UK, which was like ended up being a very similar thing. It was like a whole development scene that I don't normally have access to. Show up, here's 50 games you never heard of. They all look cool. I was like, wow,
nice.
It's just a lot. It's just a lot of stuff.
It's like indie is growing so much because AAA is, in my opinion, letting us behind. It's kind of always the same thingy.
I think it's hard to adapt, and also I think there's definitely a thing of these games like kind of becoming the same game over time. Like, I think to a casual observer, if you're trying to differentiate between something that I think gamers would easily differentiate, like a Horizon and an Assassin's Creed, like it was like, how are those even remotely the same? And it's like, well, I mean, to a casual observer, it's like there's a big map covered with markers, and you're doing a lot of running, jumping, climbing, killing of things, and you've got probably a skill tree. And both those games probably have giant skill tree. I don't know. Every game has a skill tree, right?
Horizon didn't.
Oh, okay.
No. I
must have.
No.
Are you allowed to ship without skill trees now? I thought that was a rule. I thought that was like a law, like an international law.
Chet, is there any
God of War has skill
tree?
trees even. Oh, it's
I don't remember, to be honest.
But it's hard. Like those things for me like get in the way sometimes. Like I was playing new God of War and like having an absolute blast.
That was amazing.
It's like the very first scene. They're just like, look at this tree bark. Somebody spent 4 years making just this tree's tree bark, and it's the most unbelievable tree bark I've ever seen. But eventually, at some point, it's like, awesome job. That was a really chilling, emotional moment between you and your family. You got 3 XP. Which ability do you want to unlock on your skill tree next? And it's like, I've played this game already. I've played a game with a skill tree, like a thing. The thing that used to happen with this on mobile is like in free-to-play stuff, like free-to-play games would start to be a drag after a while, even if like it was a cool game with cool mechanics. Like Puzzle and Dragons, I think, has a really cool puzzle game match 3 mechanic, right? But they're always the same game, kind of. Like even though the moment-to-moment mechanics are super different, the meta mechanic of well, I'm gonna play through the early parts of this free-to-play game before the paywalls come down, and then when the paywalls do come down, I'm gonna change the way that I play it such that I'm kind of min-maxing how much I have to pay to actually get to still play the game, or I found a way to play it for free for a long time, and that's all kind of like the same game on a layer. And I think so. To me, a lot of AAA stuff, for reasons that I totally understand, it's hard for me to get excited about it because there's so much of the game that I've already played. If I pull up Horizon's full of the most incredible looking stuff that I've ever seen. I don't even know. There's a lot of games where like, if you're a programmer or you work in games for a while, you're like, I understand how this game could be made. There's a lot of Horizon where I'm just like, no, I don't get it. I don't know how they made this game. I don't know how they made the worlds. I don't know how they stitched together. I don't know why there aren't load time. Like, none of this stuff makes any sense to me, really. Like, it's too big. There's too much of it. But even then, like, I'm in awe, and I'm also like, oh, I have to get 72 more shards to get the thing, and it's like, that's not a problem with their game design. It's just like, because somebody hasn't played that before, or they've only played that game twice, and I'm 36. Yeah, I'm 36. So, like, I've played some RPGs. I've played some stuff with skill tree. Like I've been exposed to this thing, and that's usually the thing that will knock me out of a game the quickest, is when I go like, oh, I have to play this whole game structure that I've already played many, many, many times. I have to play all that again. That I don't think I can do. Like, even though later on I'm going to get to mind control this dinosaur and we're going to be friends, I'm just like, I want that so bad, but there's 40 hours of skill trees between me and getting there, and I don't know how to do that anymore. So, yeah, I don't know. I'm glad that you still like games. I would feel bad if it had spoiled it, or if it was like,
No, I
gotta
still
get back
do.
to the chore. I like that point about too, like, about even bad, quote unquote, bad games having really cool stuff in them, and I think because that's so fundamental to like how I watch movies. Like, I'll put on the worst movie, and my wife will be like, "Why are you watching this?" Well, she doesn't ask that anymore.
Oh,
she
she's
knows
doing the
now.
same with me. She's doing the same with me.
Yeah, why would you sit there and watch this? And I'm like, well, most of this movie's terrible.
Yeah.
But you got to see this one part. There's this part where, like, you could, and it's almost always, it feels to me like somebody really, really cared about that part, you know? It'll be like, I'll be like watching a Marvel movie or something, just like, oh, this is unbearable. And then it'll get to this one part, and it'll just be like, look. Somebody,
Did you just say Marvel is bad?
Oh, sorry, chat. I despise most Marvel movies. Thor Ragnarok, I'll make a colossal exception for.
Okay, that was pretty good.
Thor Ragnarok is absolutely buck wild, and I love it to death. And I actually love Winter Soldier. I think Winter Soldier is great, but I love 70s conspiracy movies. And if you make a weird conspiracy movie with a Robert Redford and all of that stuff, like, I'm just on board for that. I love it. Whew. A lot of running in that movie, too. There's just a lot of dudes running in Winter Soldier.
Yeah.
Just a lot of it. I'm there for that, too. That's all right.
I guess we need to wrap up. We overdid it.
Oh, crap.
Yeah, no worries.
We're good?
No.
Okay.
Yeah, we are good. I was just like, the talk was good.
Good.
You have a lot of stuff to talk about. It's always good.
I have a lot of opinions, and I talk too much. That works well in this format. And
I didn't need to do anything.
It's pretty bad in all other formats.
You did it by yourself. I didn't do anything. It was pretty good. It was nice.
I think you did very good, actually.
You?
You.
I just sit here and watch your game. I'm going to play this.
Cool. I hope so.
Yes, I do.
I'd love to hear what you think. Because I like how it's turning out. So I'm always eager to hear, like, if somebody's like, I really don't like how it's turning out. And I'm always like, tell me more. What happened?
Like, you got me with the Twitch thing.
Because it's pretty fun. I need to fix it up because it doesn't distinguish. So, like, every once in a while you get, like, a big Twitch bot ends up in your thing. Like, what's a night bot? Nightbot. Every once in a while, like, one of those is in your party, which there's, like, a meta joke for that if you stream a lot, probably. But it's not, like, really a finely tuned way to do this feature. So we're going to work on tuning that up over the next couple months still. But
it doesn't really matter because I have only one bot. And if it's in there, it sounds pretty funny. Like, the name of the bot is kind of, if you want to It's like a prostitute name.
Oh, okay.
So it would be fine, to be
Yeah.
honest. We could
that would
make it
that would
German.
that would probably be relatively fit in with the story and characters anyway.
I guess so.
Yeah.
So, Adam, thanks for your time.
Hey, sure. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for making great games.
Oh, sure. I'll try to keep. I will keep doing that as long as I'm allowed to, or at least trying.
I guess next week people buying your game.
Yeah.
I guess so.
Yeah.
And see ya.
Thank you.
Thanks for being here.
Yeah.
And you guys out there, a little German for you. Ich glaube, der nächste geht in wenigen Minuten los. Wie viel? 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 Minuten, kurze Pause. Und dann geht's weiter. Thanks, Adam.
Yeah.
Once again.
Thank you.
And see ya.